Roundtable of August. How's everyone doing out there?
It's Friday.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Living
Everyone
the
out there,
dream,
can you hear
man.
me?
Living the dream, ready to change the industry one site at a time, one traditional site at a time, one virtual site at a time, whatever floats your boat, guys. Right? We're here.
Nice. And Dan, look at that shirt. I'm loving it already.
I know, man. Yeah. Mess
Looks
around
good. Fit
and
well.
get hired by Fox.
Dr. Fox, I didn't
So,
realize the colors is yellow, red, and blue, right?
oh, there's also, then if you pick the hoodie colors, they're also different colors.
Yeah, we
So,
got Hoodie
shout
Fox.
out to that. Yeah,
Hoodie
there's
Fox
Hoodie
is a
Oh,
Fox.
meme.
nice.
Hoodie
Oh
Yeah.
no,
Fox.
but what I say is the logo is yellow, red, and blue, or is magenta?
Oh,
I
magenta,
have a
Marie. That's
magenta. I don't think I have a magenta.
magenta.
I mean,
No, it just kept my attention because it's the Colombian
oh, you mean
flag
the
colors.
triangle? You mean the triangle
Yeah.
colors?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the colors of the shirt. No, there's a tan color, like a maroon color, and like a blue color.
Okay,
And
got
I
it.
told Dan before, triangles represent. Hey, this is off topic, but triangles represent site, sponsor, CRO, and the middle is the patient. So that's kind of my symbol for what CRPN
Oh,
is doing.
that's great.
So
And you're
Awesome.
also part of the Illuminati,
hey,
so it's like
Palmer,
good.
already got some.
That's funny, Dan.
Hi, Stephanie. Thank you for
That's
being
Fox
here.
new logo.
Mhm.
Yes, so es.
So
So,
I
go
did.
ahead.
So before we've got a lot to cover today. Before we start, there's just a couple things I have to say. We're doing very successful with our sponsorships. Thank you so much to our sponsors: Real Time, Creo, Greenfire, Clinically. They just keep lining up. I've got some other announcements to make, but I think we're going to save that because they deserve some special attention. The one thing things that came to mind as I was having discussions, and this is from multiple people talking about these sponsorships, is they're saying, well, this is a 1-day event. That's an awful steep sponsorship. And then you tell them, this came out of social media. This is not 1 day. This is worth of promotion coming up to that day. And then once you explain to them how much social promotion they're going to get, how much commitment they're going to get, the alliance that's forming, then oh, well, in that case, that's a fraction of what we pay for a single day at a conference. That makes sense. So that's number one. And I this is something I wanted to bring to the team, and I want to see your reactions.
Well, hold on, Fox,
It's
Fox,
kind of
hold up,
Yeah,
negative.
Dr.
Fox,
Fox.
hold up. Before you do all this, you're coming in and out like choppy, so
Yeah,
maybe you can come out and come in again.
yeah.
I just don't want to
Oh,
ruin like
The
this
intro, yeah.
moment.
all right, be right back.
All right, there we go.
All right.
I have no clue what Fox is gonna do, so I'm just watching like you.
Yeah.
All right, that's why I want his internet to be good.
So I guess what we can like mention in the meantime is that the idea for today's podcast is to let you know we're going to be covering the main topics that we've kind of not just here on the SOS podcast, but also through Brad, Dan, and Dr. Fox's podcasts that are separate. All the most common things that we hear that are concerns to sites and our issues, or even just general guidance that is being asked more constantly or commonly. So we have those main topics, and then we're going to be going over each subtopic. And through those subtopics, we'll go into extreme detail. Once that's completed, we're going to create a survey. The survey is going to go out to all the SOS registrants, those people who have already registered. We're also going to put it here on social media for those of you that are still contemplating whether you want to come or not. And even if you don't, we'd still love to hear your feedback, right? Because if you're in the industry, we want to know. This will be sent out pretty much everywhere on all social media platforms. So your response and your involvement is highly, highly, wanted. So please, we recommend that you participate in that, and we'd also even really much love it if you could share with your communities as well, because again, the more that we get in response, the more we're able to help. But all right, Dr. Fox, back to you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And I'll admit it's a little rubber bandy, so I'll limit myself if things happen. If you'd be willing to pick up where I left off, I'd appreciate it. All right, so we're talking about the agenda, right, Ashley?
Oh, well, I was just speaking about that in the meantime until you got back on. You were saying you were going to announce something?
I may know
I'll
what
tell
this
you what,
is.
it's
Did you text me about this?
I'm gonna try.
Dr.
I don't
Fox,
know.
there's a huge lag, so I think maybe text
Okay, so
scan
you
or
can
something.
see me okay, hear me okay? Everyone's
Yeah, no, I can hear.
okay. Yeah. Why don't you guys keep going?
All right.
Try video off, Fox. See if that works.
I don't want to impede this. I think that I'm having technical difficulties.
Try
so
video
please.
off. See if it works. Just audio. Try just audio. Because now you got me curious. I mean, I don't even know.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Fox testing.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Things getting better?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Awesome. Okay.
Apologize about that. Please just pretend that you're seeing me right now. Apologize about that. It's some country internet because it's pretty much what it is. Yeah, we're out in the void. All right, so the other I'm getting from multiple sponsors is they're getting feedback from the industry, and they're saying that SOS is nothing but a giant. That's what they said. They call it a therapy session. So
Wait, who said that?
I'm conflicted.
They said SOS is a giant therapy session.
That was a giant therapy session. So, number one, to any of my mental health professionals out there, there's absolutely nothing therapy session. Okay. Mental health is very important. And in fact, we should not make that something that's bad. So, number one is maybe therapy sessions are a good thing. We start to heal. So, for anyone out there who calls this a session for a bad reason, I strongly encourage you to reassess how you view therapy. Number two is if you did in fact think that this was a bunch of sites coming together to gripe without, that's where this agenda comes in. I would challenge you to take a really close look at this agenda, supporting us, and take a look at what we have accomplished as a team and as the SOS Alliance, and tell me that this is going to be all talk. Because I think that that's not the case. So with that said, I would love to talk about this agenda that we have had.
Well, we still have trouble hearing you, but
Mm-hmm.
if I will summarize from what I heard, there's certain groups maybe saying it's a giant therapy session and they mean it in a negative connotation, and I would flip that on their heads and say, what's wrong with therapy? Maybe you should go, and it's actually good for you. Like, you go there, you go to therapy to get results, like to improve. So yeah, if that's a therapy session, then thank you for the compliment.
Quick tangent. Everybody in the audience that's watching, watch Brad when Dr. Fox is breaking up. His facial reactions are quite funny, at least using to me.
Yeah, I'm just having to make sure is it him or me, or am I having a stroke? So I'm never sure.
I was cracking up the first 3 times he broke up.
That's the faces.
I do apologize for
getting therapy session.
Well, maybe that's not a bad thing. Brad, can you make a shirt about therapy session? Something with SOS therapy?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll get on that.
Big long
Well,
couches.
that's news. That's news to me, but yeah. I mean, I know people have been complaining about our memes and such, but we try to keep them funny. Some of them may hurt someone, some stakeholders maybe. We try not to target like employees. We understand that, like lately we've been poking fun of the DCT companies because those models seem to not be working. Like, we're not targeting employees of those companies. We're targeting the system itself. Like, why keep going back to this same strategy when you've got sites that are needing therapy sessions to like run their own businesses, traditional sites?
Just remember, you can never appease everybody. That's all that really matters. So let's just keep our focus and move
Yes.
forward.
Yes, and that I think that comes down into now the topic. So we're not giving you the agenda. This is not the official agenda. This is our layout of what we feel are important topics based off of what we heard everybody's voices, comments throughout social media platforms. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into those. We're going to give a quick description of what each one means, because we did discuss that in our experience when we are going to conferences, you'll kind of get kind of a basis or synopsis of what you're going to sit in on. And usually the question is, well, this was similar as last year. Are they going to cover this, this, and this, right? And so we want to kind of make that already clear to you. If these are chosen in the survey that is sent out, we're going to take the most voted. These are going to be the things that we will cover when we touch on that topic. All right, so I think everybody's most commonly brought up topic or area, you can say, is finance. So the first one we'll touch on is payments, right? I think that's pretty straightforward, but Dan, Chris, if you guys want to maybe touch on that one, like a 1 or 2 sentence description of what that would kind of look like.
Payments for what?
Chris, the payment guy.
Payments, payments for sites, the issues that sites have, and the usual things.
Receiving
I mean, I know that
statements.
this was kind of Dr. Fox's one that he brought up, but
So I know the issues, at least as far as Dr. Fox and others are concerned about, is the delays in receiving payment on invoices, payments on, for the most part, everything, right? Startup, patient visits. This is especially problematic when you're a new site. Usually you lack studies. So if your first study is late in paying, you may have payroll to make, and it makes it very difficult. The point you want to be is where you have many studies, similar to Brad. It's probably less problematic, right? Because you're always getting paid by somebody, hopefully. So you're not dependent upon any one sponsor to make your bills, right? Your expenses. As far as addressing how we're going to handle that, I don't know. How are we going to handle that? What are we going to discuss about?
I think Dr. Fox kind of gave a little insight as to what he felt that would kind of look like when it comes to the topics of payments.
I know Dr. Fox has a solution, right? You've started a company that addresses this, right?
Yeah, I was just I'm going to try to
CRPN network.
If you
This
can't
is
hear
a
me,
solution, guys.
Yep.
We can hear you.
All right.
But what
I'm going to
Chris,
try to keep this going.
Chris and Fox, you guys both you're both site owners. This is what's cool about this, and this is why this is going to be a great event, because we don't take sides. Like, Chris feels, hey, all right, sites are not getting paid perfectly, but they at least get paid everything they're owed for the most part, and reasonable amount of time. I mean, sometimes it drags on too long. And then Fox is on the other side where it says, no, like, these things need to be regular. What the contract says is what you got to do. And the majority of the time, they do not respect what the contract says as far as payment terms. And then that's the whole spectrum of everyone in between. So I fall somewhere in that spectrum too. I'm not on either side. And this is where we're going to have these debates on every topic that we're about to pull up at this agenda. Is we try to have like actual discussion. We're not pushing any particular agenda for ourselves.
And I
I'm
would say
curious.
Dan framed that exactly correctly. Dr. Fox and I both agree they do not follow the contract. Sponsors and CROs do not follow the contract. If it says you're going to get paid monthly, you're lucky you get paid quarterly. Really. So completely agree on that. I just think you need to be set up as a business. You need to be aware of this and set up accordingly.
Yes, and most are not aware. Most are unrealistic as is. Even if those payment terms are respected 100% of the time, those sites that are brand new sites that are having issues monetizing are still would be in trouble, even if those sponsors did pay on time, because they're underestimating how difficult it is to get patients randomized, which is also on the agenda. So
Yep.
I digress.
Yeah, so they're underfunding. I closed down every program possible. I hope that fixed the
Oh,
technicalities.
dude, you're
Can
like
everyone-
crystal clear Fox, new nickname.
Yeah.
Yes.
Crystal Clear Fox. So now I can. Here's
Awesome.
my payment. So you better bet at SOS, I'd be happy to run this if you want me to, or if the crowd wants me to. I'd be happy to talk about payments. Payments on so many different ways. Payments like if a promise is made to you, it should be kept. Payments like if you're going to be paid, you better be paid with complete clarity, not just some lump sum, complete itemization, and you better be paid for the things that you've earned. Prime example, I've got a trial on a number of sites now. A big global organization. They're just randomly forgetting to pay for con meds. Oh, no con meds. The numbers are off on the screenings. What's going on? Why aren't the con meds being paid? Who knows? It's not invoiceable. They just forget to pay it. So complete remittance, payments, and receipt. It's very, very important to our sites. And I think that it's going to be something that we as an industry really have to look at carefully.
Thank
No,
you, everybody.
I'm not trying to pitch a service, but so Dan and I offer a consulting service in which we can negotiate your budget and contracts for you. I recently added a fee, and you tell me what you think about this, Dr. Fox. I recently added a fee like 2 weeks ago, in which if the sponsor doesn't keep their contractual agreement on payments, they've agreed to pay $100 per day of late payment.
You got that in?
Wow.
You got that in?
Yeah, I just added it. I haven't presented it to but maybe 3 sponsors yet.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how this is going to be received, but I'm curious.
They're
And
gonna tell you need therapy session.
yeah, right. And I don't know if $100 is enough. I think it is. I think that's an appropriate dollar amount because that'll add up quickly.
Mm-hmm. You could also do compounded percentage interest rates, but
Yeah, that's too
then
difficult to figure.
Yeah.
Much easier just to say, hey, we were supposed to be paid
you're
quarterly on this
late, do
date,
that.
and every day beyond that, we're $100.
Chris,
Dang.
by SOS, by the time SOS hits, we'll know if you succeeded in those.
Yep.
Let us know. Let us
Yeah,
know
no,
if
thank you.
anyone
Thank you.
approved that.
Shoot, by the
That's-
time
thank you.
SOS
That's
starts,
great.
we'll be
Yeah.
multimillionaires off those late fees.
All right. So
Awesome.
what's next on the agenda, Ashley?
Next is budgets. So when we broke this down, budgets ultimately, to kind of put it in a short term, is that, we would cover how to justify, what to include, invoiceables, negotiation, and exploratory endpoints. If you guys want to kind of do a quick spin on that, because we do have a whole subsection
Yeah.
to go through.
So budgets are. I think that we probably ought to go real fast because we want to cover all these things to
Yeah,
introduce
we
it
do.
for the
Yeah.
survey. But again, so a lot of budget justification support, fair market value, that kind of value. I think that you're going to be seeing that a lot at the SOS conference.
Awesome. So the next is profit margins. I think you've even done a topic on this, Brad, about being open about profit margins. If you want to speak to that real quickly.
Well, I mean, I'll be the first to say I'm not necessarily an expert on what people's margins should be necessarily. I've certainly heard a variety or a spectrum, across the site network. I'm most interested in hearing from others, if I'm being perfectly honest. I mean, I know kind of what my margins are, but I don't know that I've seen a lot of benchmarking on site margins. You guys correct me if there's something I've missed.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much the three subsections for finance. Now, something just to make mention here, the reason why we're only doing 3 or 4 per section is because, remember, this is just going to be a one-day event. It's at 8 hours. So we really need to make sure that we bring in the most I guess you say, important topics that everybody votes in on. If we see that we get more response to one section than the other, we might choose 2 or 3. So all that will be dependent, obviously, on how much people respond to this, and the voting that happens. Right, majority rules. We want to make sure that you guys have involvement in this. But just so you understand that is the 3 for finance. So now we're going to jump into patient recruitment. I know that this is everybody here as site owners have experience in this, but Monica, I know that this definitely kind of goes into your area a lot. So one topic is diversity, which kind of oversees, enrolling, marketing, and retaining. If you want to touch on that, just real quickly.
Yeah, we would like to talk about obviously strategies and see what is more convenient, if the central campaign or the site specific campaign, which we kind of know already the answer. But sometimes for some reason, for some organizations, the central campaign might work best, but we can go and dig more in depth about this and see, um, after the conversation, see which one will be more convenient. In addition to that, not just the central campaign, but how can we work that central campaign if the case that the this is the one that, or the, I mean, either campaign, central campaign or site campaign, in a way that brings diversity to the sites, because we all know that diversity has been a hot topic for such a long time, but at the end of the day, not everybody is walking the talk. And this is a topic that is obviously sensitive to us too, as we advocate for diversity quite strongly. It's something that we would like to speak or chat about in the conference. Specifically, diversity and helping sites also on how to achieve these goals with diversity too, right? Because everybody's going to benefit, the sites, the sponsors, and most importantly, everybody, the society as a whole. When the drugs comes out, it's going to be good for everybody. In addition to that, we're going to be also talking about the retention, which is obviously very important, but that surprisingly, maybe for some people, it's going to be also depending on the diverse population, right? Because retention doesn't work for everybody the same. It looks different for the different groups, or if we talk about the ethnics, right? Or the ethnicity, but also it's not the same, the retention for a female middle age, the same as somebody participating, let's say a younger community, right, or a younger population. So it is important to work on that and to dive even more deep on that part too, because it's not just getting the patients, just recruiting the patients is important, but that's only the tip of the iceberg. The important part is obviously also the retention. We want the patients to complete the studies, and I mean, obviously, if it's in the patient benefit, right? But it's important for the studies, and it's important for the data. What was the other part that we
Oh,
were
that was
talking?
pretty much the focus on diversity. So thank you for that. The next section, which I'm sure you can also speak to, is social media. So those areas would kind of cover, which you already mentioned, local versus central. This one I would like to say is a huge one, and partially why I think it's important that CROs and sponsors be present, because you're going to get the site perspective on how these campaigns actually help the sites and how they don't help the sites, right? Especially because obviously, when you go through the process, right, and considering the FDA and all of that, diversity, it's now affecting everybody, not just the sites, it's affecting the CROs and the sponsors, right? So I think everybody kind of needs to get on the same page of that. So definitely not something we're going to be complaining about. It's going to be something that we're trying to discuss to kind of get a clearer viewpoint how we can work together on this, because there are some gaps that are happening that are clearly not working, right? Another area is hyperlocal content creation around community, and this is particularly away from research. And next one is community outreach as a whole. I did see your response, Patty. So as of right now, we're in the steps of creating the agenda. But when we get to the point of officially confirming the agenda and all the topics, at that point, we're going to pretty much sit together and start talking about potential organizations we can reach out to for speakers and all those kinds of things. That is not going to be money incentive speakers at all. This is solely people that we have seen personally in the industry making changes, making waves, and really being a representation of bringing good change to the industry, right? Because if we can see it, we know that the rest of the community can see it. That means there holds trust there, and we want to bring people that the community can trust, because that's how we're going to, speak more openly and more clearly with each other. Dan, Monica, did you guys, Dan, hyper local content creation, did you want to talk on that just for a quick minute?
Yeah, I mean, I really think there's something there. I've started doing it at Yuma Clinical Trials, and we're in the middle of getting another videographer to do it. We're waiting on the budget, so if we can get paid quicker, we would have done it already. But the first couple episodes, I did myself with a camera, and it was really just Instagram and YouTube channel for Yuma Clinical Trials. And we got the phone ringing, like, with people in the community. One of the videos, I interviewed like these earthworm farmers who make their own soil, so like you can grow your own food. Like, I didn't think that would do well. That one did disproportionately well. That got the phone ringing. Hey, you guys do clinical trials? Because in the beginning and the end, we say, hey, we do clinical trials. I'm wearing the shirt. We got the logo. I don't think sites are doing that, and I don't think the industry is really focused on that as much as they could be at the local level. I think there's something around marketing for sites, like content marketing, that has nothing to do with clinical research. So it's a work in progress. Hopefully by SOS, we actually have the videographer doing like an episode a month. We already started it, so I've already seen results. There's a lot there, and I think a lot more focus needs to be on like practical things like this, rather than like all these arcane abstract ideas of how do we decentralize this and that. It's nonsense to me. Like, this is what we need to do.
Awesome, thank you. And then I guess community outreach. I mean, I know we spoke on this many times, but I don't know if you guys want to do a quick blurb on that real fast. Monica?
can.
Okay.
We'll go
Dr.
Crystal
Fox.
Clear Fox.
No, no,
Crystal
go
Clear
ahead.
Fox
Yeah.
to handle
Crystal
this.
Clear Fox. I just so community-based research is just that, community-based. If you don't have a strong outreach, strong relationships with your healthcare physicians, with your community, letting them know that you are there and you are the specialist in clinical research for that community, it's not going to work. You can't depend on trials that come from the globe and then not having outreach into your community. It's going to be 100% the game changer when you really start to recruit and enroll.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so now the next section is going to be staffing, right? So I'll give kind of two areas that we touched in on, which is staffing, compensation, and incentives. So I don't know if somebody wants to do a quick sentence or two on that, because we do have some really interesting ones for this section as well.
I mean, I hear all the time, and this kind of feeds into the next part of the staffing. But turnover and retention of employees is a huge issue for sites, and I think you guys know, it's a huge problem when you lose a CRC. It takes a really long time to train a CRC. So how can we keep them? How can we keep them? Which means, we need to have good compensation packages. There need to be clear and valuable incentives. And, again, I hear from sites, especially newer sites, all the time, who are like, we can't keep coordinators. So I think, we have to do better as an industry. Look, as we talk about this stuff, it occurs to me that a lot of this goes back to the payment issue in the beginning. Like, everything kind of funnels down, because if we're paid more appropriately and on time, then we can invest better in our businesses. But nonetheless, I still think those are things that I'd love to see a lot more talk from in the community, and us being more creative and competitive with our compensation packages at the site level.
Creative,
Same.
definitely.
hmm
Having a farm system, I think, looking ahead, and then really developing like an internship opportunity for potential future employees. And then how about just not being a jerk of a boss? Like, I mean, that goes a long way too. And I know some of you site owners out there, I wouldn't work for you. So of course you're having turnover, and
You
it's
wouldn't
very
work for
frustrating.
anybody,
I'd work for Fox. I'd work for Brad. I work for everyone on this panel.
even me.
Yeah,
No, you would not. You're so
maybe
lying.
especially you, man.
Dan is lying. Everybody, Dan is lying.
Cap, major cap, huh?
Mhm.
And I liked what Dan said. Succession and farm system is probably the way to go. Coordinators aren't going to be coordinators forever. We're kind of
Yeah.
like the backbone of the entire industry's pool
Yeah.
of talent. So
Look,
it's
I have staff that like they can
challenging.
they've been offered in-house CRA with only like 1 year of experience. Hey, we're gonna like double your pay, but then like they don't leave because they know, okay, well Dan offers flexible schedule. Whenever I want to go on vacation, I can. That's why I have backups. So I mean, if you're stringent, like how are you gonna compete when the market, multi-billion-dollar marketplace, is working against you? Like, and on top of that, you're being a jerk. So
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of this stuff's
Yeah.
common sense. Maybe it is therapy session after all.
Well, I don't know that, and I don't know if we called this out specifically. Like, I mean, maybe culture is like a better, company culture is like a more
Mhm.
broad
Because it's a
topic.
real thing. Company culture is
Yeah,
definitely a real
Yeah,
thing for
I
sure.
agree.
Yeah.
That impacts a lot because it's not the same working for a toxic big organization that is paying you triple than working somewhere that maybe you're not getting paid as much, but you have peace every single day.
Yeah, but you
hmm
know what? The danger, because they're gonna find that out later in most cases. The danger to the site is that they just leave. That's all you need.
hmm
You don't need to be like, you see, I was right. What's point is that? They're already left. They're not
hmm
coming back. So you gotta like communicate with them too. Like, hey, do you realize what these remote site monitors actually have to do? Like, they count your every keystroke.
Yep.
Like you better be on this next Zoom meeting in 5 minutes.
Yeah, Patty, I think the key is if they're supported.
hmm
And I mean, I think that's
Yeah.
obviously the case. I hear it all the time. You work at a crappy site, yeah, you're looking to get out of there.
Yeah.
But to what these guys are speaking to, we can provide and be creative. There's
hmm
people who want to be here. They have small kids. They have all kinds of stuff that want to keep them more
Yeah.
flexible and local,
Mhm.
And
and
maybe,
they have a lot to contribute.
and maybe your personality, I get it. Like not everyone's nice. Like, but hire a manager who is. Like, know
Yeah.
your weaknesses too.
Yeah.
I,
100%. And go ahead,
I would
Moni.
like, yeah, no, go ahead.
No. I was gonna go
I
to the
just,
next one.
yeah, I just would like to add to this that many sites also want to hire very experienced CRCs and all of this, and no one is giving opportunities. I mean, not no one, but not many organizations are giving opportunities to the entry level um, potential great CRCs, and many of these are hungry for an opportunity, and probably if a clinic gives them an opportunity, they will be more loyal because you gave me an opportunity. That happened to me. That happened
hmm
with me with Dan and Chris. I'm still here after 10 years, right? So I became loyal to them because they gave me for the first time the opportunity that no one else did.
hmm
I just
100%.
wanted to throw that there.
Thanks, Winnie. Well, I think this kind of trickles into the next one, which is staff workload and staff burden, and then ultimately also going into turnover. I think that this definitely has to play too with where you say compensation and incentives. So for me personally, in the industry, I am willing to work more if I know that my compensation and or the incentives that are at my job are there. I'll understand. I'll be more understanding of knowing that, hey, we're short on staff or we're this or we're that. But, I have the company's back. They have my back because they also know that I like Dan was saying extra work time off, or if I'm looking to move up or I'm wanting more experience or exposure. I mean those kinds of things that I can easily speak with my main manager or the site owner or the PI, whoever it is, um, and communicate that, and I'll be heard, right? As opposed to like, oh, I don't know if I should like reach out to them. I know so many people that are literally scared of asking these questions, even if it's just an ask, right? And so when you have that kind of environment, that it's not helpful. Workload and staff burden, I mean, I think that again trickles down, like, Brad had said, as far as the initial payments, right? Because if they don't have the payments in, you can't hire more people. If you can't hire more people, people just start to take on dual work, and it's a real thing, right? And so, something to mention to that, when we're talking about coordinators, one of the things that we're hearing almost all over, and doesn't matter whether it's SOS, Latinos in Clinical Research, I mean, from all ends, we're hearing that we need more people. We need more people in research, and for some reason, it's just not computing that. Okay, well, then we need to bring on individuals that have no experience, right? Like there's no other way around this, that, or get them trained, but they still have to have no experience, right? So, I mean, I guess until the industry literally gets to the point of hitting a wall over and over and over, because they're already hitting it. So, over and over and over again, to finally they're saying, okay, well, let's
Well,
finally do it.
it's the same theme that they use for we don't have enough investigators. Well, why aren't you going in the communities and grooming the clinicians that are already there to become PIs? Well, it's a lot of work. Well, same thing. Like, why don't you take a MA or a CNA and make them a coordinator? Well, it's a lot of work. We want one that's already trained. So I don't know. I mean, we
Patty,
have CRC Academy.
yeah, Patty will recommend ours. Because we know what we did, and exactly what we offering, because obviously the majority of us here are site owners, and we know exactly, or have a very good idea of what we want to see in a clinical research coordinator, or how we want to train them, right?
Yeah.
Which information we want them to know.
Yeah, and I think to speak on that, it's not so much on this end of like sales, right? Like, hey, come to ours. No, it's more because I can tell you from my own experience, I'm probably the newest one to research here, um, is that all the trainings out there have so much information, and a lot of it is jargon information. You don't need it, it's just stuff that, oh, well, did you know in the past? Yes, you can read that on the side, right? But that's part of the training. It makes the training longer. It, chances of losing somebody's attention much quicker. I mean, all those kinds of things. The university was created, the trainings within the University of Clinical Research were created to remove those aspects and literally just give what they need, so that you can take this person right here to an internship and immediately on site, right? And it's the same thing as onboarding somebody. You're going to put them through your month's worth, 2 months worth of training. It's the exact same thing. So I just think people need to really just kind of relax on that and just kind of give people an opportunity. So,
Well, why not start your own? Okay, don't pay CRC
mhm.
Academy. Fine. Use our videos. Make your own onboarding program. Use your system. Maybe use real time. Maybe use Creo. Here's how to use this. They would probably even give you videos on how to do that. And create like a 3-month thing structured where you can have interns come in. You're hiring for attitude and potential. And not everyone's going to make it through the 3 months. But by the end, hopefully you have a CRC. I mean, it's just like 3 months of foresight. And a lot of this boils down to payments too, but a lot of it boils down to laziness as well.
Yeah.
I know for a fact.
Well, the other subsections under that we've pretty much covered, which is succession, right? Any new CRCs coming in to cover the CRC that's going to probably be elevated within the company. Research naive candidates, we already talked about that. We talked about training. And then obviously we didn't necessarily touch into realistic workload for CRC, but I think that's pretty self-explanatory. But we will touch into those things, talking about our own experiences in the industry, and whoever we have and have decided to bring on to speak in those areas. Because it's not just going to be us sitting on the panel, you guys. It's we're going to bring people in, right? We don't want to it's just not just going to be us. So just to keep that in mind.
I think something that we should also discuss, or maybe put out there, is how can we make this CRCs feel that they're growing within the organization. Because in some point, even if they are the most amazing, they love what they do, they will want to grow. Even if they are super loyal to organization, they will want to grow. How can they grow within a clinic in a way that is also fulfilling for them, and help them, keep on growing in the
Expanding.
industry. Hmm.
Agree. All right. How do you all feel about getting pushback from monitors on using Creo for eSource? Well, I think that's something we can touch on in the next topic, which is paper versus electronic. So tech is
No pushback.
definitely no pushback.
No
Um,
pushback. And LinkedIn user daughter trying to get into research having a hard time. This is exactly why we made this SOS affordable. It's for networking. That's probably what's missing. If she has potential and has like the right attitude, there's sites probably coming in your area that are gonna be there. So
yeah. And something to make mention is that, even if those sites, you guys say you're coming in and you're not a site owner, which is perfectly fine. We want all professionals there. And it's a good insight for you to learn about what is going to happen when you do get in the industry. This is an opportunity for you to meet actual site owners. It's to network, get their number. If they're not hiring, say, hey, is there somebody I can reach out to in the next month, 2 months? I mean, that's the whole point. You don't have to literally be finding somebody immediately that's hiring. It's creating those leads for yourself for the future. And even if you get hired somewhere else, the point being is that you have those leads either way, right? And so it's somebody that is, always being attuned to what they're doing in the industry and always looking for growth. It's about constantly making those connections, even when it's not something you need at the moment, right? And so just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, we
Um,
would love to see all kind of professionals from the CROs, sponsors, vendors, everybody, because the idea of this is to come together, to chat, to speak, have those uncomfortable um, talks to find solutions. It
mhm.
doesn't have to be uncomfortable. I mean, obviously, if it's an uncomfortable conversation, it's gonna be different, right? But it doesn't have to be a fight. It doesn't have to be everybody pulling on their own side. It has to be everybody in the same place talking about solutions.
Openly, yeah. So that goes into the subsection. So obviously talk on SOPs. Dan, did you want to, I guess, do a blurb about that real quick?
not really, but the SOPs, if you're using if you're using eSource and eReg, like the good thing about a lot of these site-centric vendors that I respect is they've kind of thought of all these things. Like Viva gives you the SOPs. Like, oh, your CRA is having a problem. Well, give them this. Here it is. And then Creo does the same thing, and I'm sure the other site-centric vendors. I mean, this is all done for you now. So SOP, I mean, yeah, it's boring. We can discuss it at SOS maybe if people want. That's my
Well,
thoughts on that too.
I
there
don't
is
suspect this one will get
there
picked, to be quite honest, but yeah.
there is a conversation to be had on eSource versus paper source.
Mhm.
A number of our clients have used eSource and have gone back to paper source. They don't like it.
Mhm.
So there is a conversation there.
Speak on it. That's what we want to talk. We're not here to push anything. Like we have people from all different perspectives, and there's a lot of advantages to paper. Number one, it's free, right? Well, not to the environment, but it's free for money, um, and you have a little more control over it, to some
A little
extent.
more flexibility too.
A little, but also a little more disorganization. But I mean,
Yeah,
there's
there's more
pros and cons
guidance
to
in
everything.
eSource. There's more
Yeah,
guidance on
we
it.
want like a
Chris,
fair discussion on these topics.
Mhm.
what have you heard of these sites that have gone from e-source back to paper? What has been the biggest?
Well, I don't know if I should say this, but well, I guess I'm not
Say,
leaving anybody out to dry, so I'm
well,
not
don't name
mentioning any
names.
names.
Don't get
Yeah.
crazy now. Just
Most of them don't like the fact, like for example, let's say the protocol requires things are done in a certain order. You have to do that, follow that order with eSource. And this is an advantage to sponsors if they want to absolutely maintain the protocol. Paper, let's be honest here, you can lie and say, well, it was done in order when it actually wasn't. So that's where eSource is more rigid. And many clients of in our pool, in our site network, I wouldn't say many. I've heard this from 3 that come to mind. that used eSource and went back to paper.
A
Because
nice word for that is flexibility.
yeah, that's what I
Add
said.
it too.
Flexibility. There's more flexibility in paper.
So what I found with the ones with eSource is they had eSource, they tried it, they implemented it, they didn't quite understand it yet, and something happened, and they got burned. They got burned because something wasn't done right. Sponsor got mad at them, and they got in trouble. And that was it for them. They said, "Okay, I don't understand this. I don't know how to do it. I'm going back to paper. I don't trust eSource anymore because it let me down." That is kind of what I'm hearing from the sites as well.
Definitely a topic to cover up on. I do think that this is going to be one of the ones
It's
that
a big one.
picked. Yeah.
It's
And
a
that
big
goes
one.
that goes back, I guess you can say, touches in on a little bit on regulatory as well, which is another, I guess you say, subtopic. If some of these don't get chosen, I mean, we can definitely make it a way when we're speaking about it that we kind of just add it in as a little extra if we're making time. But yeah, so there's regulatory and also the topic of tech, right? Because tech is obviously very necessary. I mean, I'm not a site owner as of now, but with my industry background, I mean, I'm using 7, 8, sometimes 10 platforms, right? So, like, this is definitely something you can't avoid. And if you use paper, fine, but you are also going to come into difficulties about that. So, talking openly about tech and how it's important and how it needs to, I guess, integrate a little bit more better with the industry and what the sites are needing is definitely something that needs to be discussed. But I don't know if Brad, you wanted to touch in on that, or Dan, Dr. Fox.
I think
Dan?
you're looking. I mean, we can talk about this
I
at the
got
conference.
like this is another theme I'm noticing. Like delayed gratification. Why can't I find a coordinator? Well, we don't have a training program. Why? Well,
Mhm.
because it's 3 months. Well, eSource. Why haven't we switched? We gotta learn anything. I mean, all these things are related to the same kind of idea. Like there are sites that do it and sites that don't. I guess at the end of the day, we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
All right.
Stephanie also
Well,
said
they
it. And
Stephanie, they
look,
both require preparation. It's
Yeah.
like paper source isn't just made for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
but I
think
mean,
that
if
the
you
paper.
copy paste, I mean, Control C, Control V, make some paper source like pretty fast, right? I
Well,
mean,
our protocols are usually a little different from one another. You may have templates.
it's true, but they're also not that different. But to your point, too, I
Well,
think the more complicated a protocol is, I feel like the harder it is to build into eSource. But I also think, generally speaking, you kind of have to change your way of thinking about source almost if you're going to go eSource. It's just a complete. You have to sort of shift your perspective, and ultimately, like Dan said, I think a lot of it's just like we have to stop being lazy and just do it.
Do the work.
Yeah, we just have to do the work. And I still fight myself because I'm lazy, man. I'll admit it. Like, you know,
I'm too.
I want the easiest way, like right now. So I have to even fight with myself to be like, okay, we need
Well,
to just
it's
shut up and do it.
lazy. It's lazy and money. Like you got to pay for it too, right?
Yeah.
And then now we're not getting paid on time. So, like, hey, everything says not to do it.
so again, back to the money, back to the
Yeah.
payments.
And
All
we'll
comes
definitely
back.
touch on that. That's what I'm thinking. The finance part, I think that's going to be definitely the
The-
biggest one that will be covered.
I just want to add one more thought. Sorry, Ashley.
No, you're right.
eSource, it makes much more sense from the sponsor side. I will say that. But as everybody else is pointing out, they need to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
But when they pay for it, it's game over for your choice.
Yeah, but again, the sponsor is required by the FDA to have control over their studies.
Yeah.
There's no better mechanism for control
What
in
sites?
eSource.
What sponsors are doing, because they actually, believe it or not, like from the conversations I've had with sponsor level people, they don't want to force things on sites. It's usually like CROs that do it, but they're waiting for like to see the consolidation, like which platform do sites choose on their own, and then let's like just try to choose those kind of sites for our study, and then they're probably gonna be like 4 or 5 big players, because only like 20% of sites actually use eSource, so there's still like an opportunity to gain market share for anyone out there.
Mm-hmm.
According to my recent poll, it's like 60% of sites who use eSource. So
How many of those people work at all these eSource vendors?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we know sites.
it's funny.
All right, so on to the next one, just to keep some time. So industry relationships. This I think goes really beautifully hand in hand with finances in the sense that, you're able to work with other people, find ways to work better. But anyways, we'll go through it. So this biz dev. So one is joining site network, right? Obviously we have that here, but I'm sure there's going to be others there at the conference as well. Uh, we have we have brokers, and then going on, what was that one you talked about, Dan? That
Brokers,
website? No, the one
brokers make
before
you broker.
brokers. The one
Oh, the
before,
ct.gov, the
yeah,
old school OG.
yes, going old
Uh,
school.
Ghetto.
This is where the true
I get
therapy
it.
section, group
It'll
therapy
work.
section will work.
you're slumming it. You're slumming it.
Hey, but you know what? Through LICR, we've also met some other companies that are doing a more modern take on .gov. So definitely, something that for them to consider. I know some of them will be present, so that'll be good. And then the last one was using Inato, Dan, you said?
And Nada, yeah.
Inato,
Inato.
sorry,
Yep.
Inato.
Shout out to them.
Yeah.
BizDev,
So
yeah. These are one of the site-centric tech companies out there.
yeah, so talking about those kinds of things, how they work for your benefit, right? And kind of, I guess, pretty much everybody's experience here, the different tips and tricks that they've experienced that they've used to kind of help advance their site and everything with study trials. I don't know if is there anything else anybody wants to mention here on this section before we go to the last one?
Chris
Yeah.
got a fan. Stephanie wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
Chris.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. All right, ClinOps.
All right. Happy to do so.
Actually, sorry, we
Yeah.
discussed with the NATO and all of that is because of the sites getting new studies.
To be quite honest, I don't remember. This is the one that Dan brought up. So,
Yeah, because I think that topic is also kind of critical and sensitive about sites
Oh, yeah.
because I think it's still very old age how the sites get selected or how the sites can apply to studies. A lot of organizations keep on saying that they have newer or ways to this to happen, but how is that not including the new sites, right? Or
mhm,
the sites that are newer, or even sites that have been forever in the industry and they want to tip in a different therapeutic area, right? So I think that's another topic that is very important that we have in our agenda, and is how to improve the sites getting studies. I mean, obviously, there are many organizations that provide this service, such as DSCS and Dr. Fox, CRPN, but in many of these experiences, many sites gets in the gray area, right? And especially, for example, that what I was mentioning, the sites that have a lot of experience, they want to go and expand in a new therapeutic area, and then all of a sudden they just don't know how to. They start applying. They are looking for the common ways that everybody does to get studies, but they don't hear from anybody. So
mhm.
that's a topic that I think we should be including in the agenda too.
Okay, awesome. We'll make a note of that. All right, so now we're in the last section, which is ClinOps. So I'm going to kind of just go down the line, and then obviously you guys can speak on it because I know that I kind of am timed on this. But so under ClinOps, we have the ultimate tech stack, which I think is very interesting. PI oversight, staff utilization, cash versus card, material sourcing, QA, and IMGs. So I think starting with Ultimate Tech Stack, Dan, I think you brought this one up. Did you want to speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I must confess, I coined that term from Brad. Like, I saw one
Okay.
of Brad's posts that did it well, and I'm like, hey, I'll make a video about this. Brad came up with it, but like, yeah, I mean, we kind of mentioned like all these things we discussed, right? Like leading up to this. Well, there's problems and pain points in all of them. So if we have site-centric tech companies that are building solutions to address some of these problems, like Versatrel is one on the organizational front, Inato on the biz dev front. We got one in health on the patient recruitment front. I mean, look, there's like companies out there focused on these things. So the ultimate tech stack is really what works for you.
Yeah,
And
there's also non-research tools like, we use Asana for a lot of our project management for tracking certain things internally. I mean, it's not a research-specific product. HubSpot CRM, again, not research specific, just sort of general business tools that sites could be using to better organize themselves.
That's true, like Salesforce, Monday.
Yeah.
Which one is that? The one that you mentioned, Osana?
Asana, ASANA. Yeah, it's more like project management.
I'm gonna check that out.
I like it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, before you guys continue on, I'm going to have to cut off because I have to get back to my stuff. But I did want to mention for those of you, I see that we have a lot more people here right now. So just to kind of restate what was said in the very beginning was that this is not the actual agenda. What we did is we came together to create these different sections and then subtopics for these sections, right? And so what's going to happen is this recording is going to be reposted along with the link to the survey this weekend, if not early next week. It's also going to be emailed out to all the people that have registered for the SOS conference already. If you have not, the link is there. Please go ahead and do it. It's very, very affordable. We want to hear and see many people's opinions from all over the industry. So this is going to get emailed out to you. And then you will also find it pretty much floating all over social media, specifically here on LinkedIn from all of our platforms, including Latinos in Clinical Research, because we are partnered with SOS. And we really want to hear your feedback. We're going to allow you to vote for, we haven't decided yet, but for a top of, I would say, 8 topics. So out of all the ones that we've listed here today that will be in the survey, you will have to choose from each of those. And then based on majority vote, right? Because we said we want to involve you guys. We want to make sure that we're hearing what you need, right? Not what we think you need. And then based off of that, the agenda will be created. And then from there, we will go and start collecting the speakers for these topics. This is not money focused. So no, you cannot pay your way to become a speaker. We choose the speakers.
And me, Venmo.
Venmo. They will be chosen by us, and we definitely also will have to all agree on that as well, right? So just something to keep in mind, your involvement and your vote on this, and anything you might want to add. There'll probably be a comment box at the bottom. Please do so. The more that we hear from you, the more that we know, the more that we can help the community. If you know of somebody else that won't be present but really wants to hear and you'll be present instead of them, share it with them, share it with your community. Please just share as much as you can.
Yeah,
But
and tag people on this
yes,
video.
yes, please. Thank you so much. But all right, you guys, I'm gonna pretty much bounce. You guys have a great one, and thank you everybody who showed up today. And you guys continue on with the conversation.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Ashley.
Thanks. Bye, you guys.
Thanks, Ashley. All right. That was Ashley Margot. We're going to miss her. She was so organized. She had everything right out.
Keeping us all on track.
Yeah, whatever that project management software was, that she is the human version of that.
So I think the one thing that we could say is these were our ideas. But again, it's up to the community. If you have any ideas that you want to be on the agenda, send us a message. Let us know. Tell us what you want to talk about. We're taking a collection right now, and it's going to be part of the agenda voting. So now's your chance. Speak up. So on that note, and I like what Ashley said, the number one question from the people that are sponsoring SOS or the people who are considering sponsoring SOS are, can we have a paid speakership? Can we pay to have content on the conference? And the answer is no. No, money is not going to drive this content. That's one of the whole reasons why we're here at SOS, because money generates a bias. Like, what if, you pay a bunch of money and then you get the microphone in front of all the sites, and then that's not exactly what they want to talk about. And so the content of SOS is reserved for the audience. And that's something to understand if you're going to sponsor with SOS. The other thing is there's no tier system. So a lot of people say,
Wait, Dr. Fox. So I was unaware of this. We're not allowing commercials. So a sponsor can't pay in like a 60-second spot and do their commercial break?
Nope.
We're
Wow.
pure,
Nope.
man. You know, in
Nope.
10 years, 15 years, 20 years, when we build this up and some IRB buys it, then they'll do that.
Yeah,
and then
they
it's time
can
to not go
monetize
anymore.
all they want. They can
Then it's
monetize
time
all
to
they
not
want.
go anymore and find the new SOS.
Yeah.
All right.
So
fair enough.
yeah,
I was unaware of this.
once it's yep. So again, we're not here for the money. Trust me, if we were here for the money, we would have sold to an IRB already. So it's important to know that these are all site administrators. They're here to advocate for change beyond a therapy session. And I think that you're going to see a pretty big difference here at this conference versus the others.
Yeah, we basically want transparency.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The other part was, do you have tier system like gold, silver, platinum sponsorships? And the answer is no. No, it's a flat sponsorship. It's a one flat sponsorship. Everyone who comes in is an equal. Everyone's an equal. No one's more important than the other ones. If anyone decides that they want to come in and buy some of the extra things, the things that cost more money, like some of the materials or the food or things like that, absolutely. They paid more money because they're helping.
Hold on. So this comment, this is where the confusion, right? All these
Mhm.
conferences, they do this too, not paying speakers. No. We don't accept money from speakers to get on stage, Patty. That's the difference. They look the same, but it's not the same concept.
Yeah. Patty, have you ever been to a conference where you went to a breakfast and all of a sudden they handed the microphone to a sponsor and they gave you the 3-minute spiel about their product because they had your audience at a breakfast? That's paid speakerships. That's
like a timeshare. Hey, come here and then we'll sell you
You're
something.
paying for an audience time. That's what we're talking about, not the paid honorariums for the people who do speak.
Commercial
We're having
break.
sponsors.
Commercial
We're having
break.
sponsors, but not paid
Commercial breaks.
speakers.
Yeah.
But we do have ways to do advertisement, like the bar is still open.
Mhm.
The food and I mean, and obviously the inserts on the different bags, the actual bags, and all the rag that is involved in any conference. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the materials that will make the conference great. We still need sponsorships for that. And sponsors have the opportunity to sponsor that if they'd like.
Well, maybe that changed.
What
Maybe
reward
that
do they get? We announce if they're sponsoring, say, alcoholic beverages, right?
Mhm.
We would mention, thank sponsor so and so, right? That's about all they're getting in turn.
Yeah, and obviously the
logo.
advertisement is gonna
Thanks
be
for the drinks.
in the actual play like in the bar, for example.
Yeah,
And,
for
and
example,
we have some
and
ideas.
just for example, let's say that VersaTrial decided to buy alcoholic beverages for the conference. We could just say drinks on Mike. That's it. Thanks, Mike.
From
Thanks for the
VersaTrial.
drinks.
You probably want to throw in there from VersaTrial, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe hang VersaTrial banner behind the bar, like Monica was saying.
Yeah, they can have the banner there
Oh,
in
yeah.
the actual the whole advertisement in the actual place. And for the launch bags will have the logo of the company that is sponsoring the launch, for example, and maybe an insert in the back.
Well, but we're revisiting the lunch thing. So, but there's gonna be branding and stuff.
Yeah,
but
you'll have a branding opportunity, advertising opportunity. Timeshares, though, that time in front of the audience so you can deliver your message. Let's stick the content to where we need to look at it, and that's trying to help our sites, trying to save our sites.
And obviously the advertisement through the different social medias, right? Which is a big thing that not everybody is offering as strong as this event. So
I got a dumb question. Are we priced accordingly? And what I mean by that is, so often when a sponsor forks over some dollars, they like you're mentioning, they expect to be able to get in front of the audience, right? So are we priced less than that situation? Because I mean, I'm just thinking in terms of the sponsor. Thinking if I were in their shoes.
No, because they are getting that. It's not just at the actual event, but they are getting to the gear in the digital media, which now is even more impactful than the actual event, because they are getting the opportunity to speak in our social media, and they get to choose in between Brad, Dr. Fox, and the clinical trials guru, and obviously the SOS Roundtable.
Mhm.
Okay.
So to answer your
Yeah.
question, Chris, yeah, there was a ton of due diligence. We did a lot of investigation, and as I have these conversations with the sponsors, once they understand how it works and how the sponsorship works, they're very happy with the costs.
So I also think we're,
Got it.
I
All right.
mean,
Thank you.
correct me if I'm wrong, but at least we're having some discernment in who our sponsors are. And it's not I've been to some of these conferences where it's like, you know, there's site level services. Well, there's not any sites there. It's like vendors just vending to each other. And, you know, your target audience or like whoever you're supposed to be serving isn't even there. So like, what the hell's the point? You just took money to take money so that someone could stick a booth somewhere.
Yeah,
And
we've-
that's not, it's not what we're trying to do.
And we have said no to some sponsors. Some sponsors, maybe this just isn't the right conference for them. That's not too worried about that. So we're losing viewers as we speak. So we should probably wrap this down. I think that we're done. But reminder, SOS agenda survey is emailed out. Look for it on social media. Be a part of the voice. And importantly, thank you for tuning into the Roundtable. We'll be having these every single month, and the content will be different. We'll have sponsor guests on here. It's going to get very exciting over the next quarter.
Please like, share, and tag people in this video that you might think is have interest on this or could
Someone
be
bought a
benefit.
ticket. Someone bought a ticket during this
Yay!
live stream.
Yep. Someone bought a CRP and T-shirt as we spoke.
Really?
So, yeah. Thank you, Dan.
Dang.
Thank you.
Man, I need to sell something. Damn it. Be ready next time.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Tune in next time, and we'll see you on LinkedIn. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Adios.